You never met a man like me. You wouldn't understand. I'm in a rock and roll business, honey. Well, I'm in a rock and roll band.
Good morning. Welcome to the Rockstar Fitness Podcast with my co-hosts, Mr. Robb McGeary, Fat Loss Fat Lean, and Mr. Simon Kingsley Dutton. Okay.
I'm going to do the Spider-Man this time because it fits me better. I'm not trying the rock and roll.
This is the gym dog. He doesn't care. He wants to get the fuck out of here and eat some biscuits. Don't you? What? Right, beat it. Okay.
Great audio.
How are we doing?
All good, mate. All good. Things going well.
The
How about yourself?
First proper week of you, first couple of weeks, proper weeks of you launching Made.
Interest-wise, it's been all right. Yeah, like had a few people sign on, a few more consults booked in. Had a lot of good questions on the live I ran the other day, and a few people interested off the back of that. So, yeah, slowly building. Like the next step, got a lot of stuff coming into the private members Facebook group, and I'm looking at getting a few guest speakers on when I start webinars for the guys coming soon. So good, been busy, but like good busy.
Wicked. When are you getting Robb and I on as guest speakers?
Mate, whenever you want. But as soon as I'm just finalising times for my guys to work with as many places around the world as I can.
You're gonna do these live, yeah?
Yeah, like Hong Kong is a really awkward time zone. It's like not helpful for anyone. Like 7 hours from the UK. Don't even get me started on the US, Pacific and Central times, like the most confusing time zones in the world. It's all right for Australia, but I've only got like 2 clients from Australia. So once I find a decent time, yeah, we'll rock and roll.
You getting up at 3 o'clock in the fucking morning to do this, right? I mean, that's what's going to end up happening. Whereas Robb and I, that are in a sensible part of the world, will be able to, a civilized, sensible part of the world that's not run by China, will be able to get up at a reasonable hour and jump on board.
So far the votes are going for the 7 a.m. UK slot, which works nicely because that's 2 p.m. my time on a Friday. So I'll take that.
What sort of dick wants to do it? Like wants to get on a webinar at 7 a.m. That's bull. Whoever you are that's voting for the 7 a.m. webinar slot UK time, get a fucking life.
Oh, you just want me to get up at 3 a.m. and doing it, don't you?
I'd quite happy to get up at the crack of noon. Do one.
To be fair, I've been a guest on a webinar at like 2-3 a.m. a number of times. So it'd probably be a good way of keeping structured. Like the more busy I get, the better structure I tend to have in life. The better I feel.
Nobody gets me on anything serious, man. Because they know that despite the fact that I can do serious, I swear a lot. So you got people that are like, yeah, we're gonna do some proper professional stuff, and I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, let's get fucking professional.
I have no issue. If you become a guest speaker at any point, swear where you're like, you could literally do the history of swearing as a webinar, and I'll happily take it.
You have no issue because you're desensitized to me.
Yeah, but I also like to fucking swear quite a lot of the time anyway. So not as much as you, but I don't like being sensitive.
I don't.
It's not about swearing. It's about being allowed.
I swear because I'm Glaswegian, and Glaswegians use swearing as punctuation. So.
Exactly. For me, it's not necessarily about swearing. It's about having the ability to swear. I want to know that I could if I wanted to. I don't. I don't like being censored. I've had that too much in my life. Let's say. What we got?
Wow. Couldn't possibly comment.
You want to explain that, JP, for the audio listeners?
Well, actually, Big Dick's coffee, right? It's a high caffeine coffee. It's not that bad. I make it sound dangerous. It's not. It's like 50% more caffeine than regular coffee. But it's actually pretty tasty. So you don't need to use anywhere near as much of it to make a decent cup of coffee. And we were running out, and I thought, I'll get some coffee, and I started doing a little bit of shopping, and then I found this company, Big Dick's Coffee, and I thought, well, that's pretty funny. And then they were like, oh, you can buy a bag and get a free mug and have it personalized. So obviously, because Victoria's working from home, my other half, she's working from home, and she has an important actual job working in private equity. She's on a lot of Zoom calls and Teams meetings, and I thought, I'll get her a mug that's got a name on it.
And it says?
Perfect.
Victoria loves big dicks.
And where did she find them?
Huh?
Where did she find them?
This fucking guy, Mr. Smoulder. Mr. Smoulder. Yeah. It's the confidence level of a man that buys that for his other half, yeah.
So Rob, how's Fat Loss Fastlane going?
We're doing well. We've got people online that are killing it, that are dropping decent amounts of timber. We have got 1-to-1 back in business now, central London at the moment. Handful of people on the go there. 2 more starting with me next week, which makes me feel great because I can't constantly do laptop training. I need to be on a gym floor. So buzzing.
So I'm actually much the same. I like to have that little bit of gym floor time. I don't want all of it. But I've closed my diary at 21 hours. I'm not taking any more clients on at present for 1-to-1. I only do that 3 days a week, so I do 7 hours Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and that's enough for me. The rest of the time is spent doing shit like this, online client stuff. So Monday is crazy for me because I've got like 25 online client check-ins plus 7 hours of 1-to-1 PT. So it's a good day. I like that, right? It's a good day.
Yeah.
Tuesday, I get up and I play a bit of Call of Duty, and I do a little bit of admin work, and then that's about it. Thursdays, obviously, podcast day with you two. So this is like the highlight of my day in terms of my output. I actually got a bit of admin to do today. I've got to send out some renewal payment links for clients that are online clients that are renewing, continuing, and I've got to send out a couple of direct debit mandates for returning 1-to-1 clients that have come back on board this week. But yeah, apart from that, it'll be another Call of Duty Warzone day. Plus, I've got to do a little bit of website work. So, I mean, I make it sound like I've got this exciting, oh yeah, I've got to do Victoria. She's just shouting down, and me.
And you.
And me.
Well, the mug really doesn't lie. The mug doesn't lie.
The mug doesn't lie.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I'm so glad that this is going on YouTube. And the world gets
share it everywhere. If there's a thumbnail, that's the thumbnail of this episode, isn't it? You just holding up that mug with a little creepy grin on your face.
Dude, fucking right. I'll take a photograph and I'll just make a thumbnail for it because otherwise it'll be real. I've also got Simon. Yeah. Simon will know. I've also got this.
Oh yeah, literally. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Crunch, baby. Rob, have you ever had one of these?
No.
Best protein bar on the market, right? However, it's not the lowest calorie protein bar on the market. It's effectively coated in peanut butter.
It's like the muted mass shakes, isn't it?
Yeah.
Technically, it's a protein powder, but they were glorious. It was like a Ferrero Rocher thick milkshake of 1,000 calories.
Ridiculous, 1,052 calories.
with like a shovel scoop.
You had to have 4 shovel scoops to get it to actually be the right amount. It's ridiculous. And
between that and Lloyd's contaminated glycofuse, that was like a colonic irrigation between the two of them.
Oh, that glycofuse was so Rob. We found, like, Lloyd Stevens used to work at the City Gym with us. Great guy, really, really cool guy. He's a bit short, but great guy.
even with the massive high top Jordans.
Yeah. Sure. Anyway, fucking awesome guy. But he had this tub of glycofuse and he just didn't get on with it. So he left it in the cupboard. We were like, well, can we use that? And he said, yeah. So we started using.
Me and JP, being a bit Scottish, were like, we'll rob anything.
Yeah. So we started using it, but it was like, it was like instant enema. This stuff was fucking. There was something wrong with it because it just destroyed you like instantly. You were within half an hour. You're just like, no, That's it. My intestinal tract has decided that it is going to leave my body. And it wasn't just.
I think I got the worst end of it.
Just us, because I mean I'm pretty rock solid, right? So I was just like stupidly bloated and really uncomfortable. But everybody that used it ended up decimated by it.
Jesus.
So it
I
almost.
thought I got the worst end of it because everyone took it, and like the first time I was fine, so I was like, "Oh, I'm all right with this." And then like next, everyone else like, "I don't want to touch that again." I'm like, "Oh, I didn't mind." 2-3 days later, I get 2-3 days worth of discomfort.
Yeah.
Hit me all at once.
I think
Never again.
I think Lloyd just contaminated it with laxatives because people kept robbing his supplements.
Maybe. That's not a bad shout. That's not a bad.
I mean, Justin used to do it. And Justin, when Justin did it, was Lloyd that often got the brunt of it because Lloyd used to nick Justin's pre-workout. So maybe it was in like when like the person that's bullied becomes the bully.
Yeah.
And they do it. That's the next step of this, right? And we were the mugs that fell for it.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't know if you can see that, but you got vaccinated.
Yes. Mate, me too. I got my first one. You got both or just one?
Just one.
One. Yeah, I got one.
I wasn't booked in. Victoria went. She booked hers. She went down. I just rocked up and was like, "Hey, do you wanna do me too?" They're like, "All right, fuck it." So managed to blag it at the Excel.
Yeah, here, 10% of people are taking the vaccine. The uptake rate's really slow, to the point where Hong Kong governments are like bribing us for people not taking the vaccine. Like today, as of today, bars are opening till 2 a.m. Big groups are coming back into into restaurants, and it's all for the point of like, if you've had one dose of vaccine, you can have this. If you haven't, you can't. And it's we're pushing towards that world.
The only reason I got it was because she got hers, and she'd be pissed off if we can't travel abroad because I haven't, and that's it. I mean, I'm very glib about this. Like, I've had coronavirus. I didn't think it was that bad. All right, so there was a bit of long COVID going on with me, and I've had some issues with my lungs as a result. But like, just attack, right? I mean, you don't sit back and go, "Oh me, oh my, I can't breathe properly." It's like, fuck it, let's get after it. Let's challenge it every single time we do something. Let's just keep challenging it until it gets better. First week back in the gym, coaching clients, I was running out of breath just speaking. Now I'm barely noticing it. It's because my activity levels trebled. The amount of talking I'm doing is like gone through the roof, whereas previously I wasn't really doing any of that. It's clearing up big time, and the same goes for when I'm training. Like I'm sucking air when I'm training, but I'm sucking air in a good way. Like I know I'm training, right? It's like, this is normal. I feel okay, good. So up to 50 reps on the rack chins, boys. Oh, I'm happy.
And you sort of talk about the hang that you do before.
Oh no,
that was really interesting concept. I thought that was.
That's at the end. So yeah, all right. Cool. So on pull days, I've got like, so pull day consists of rack chins, and it's 50 reps in as few sets as possible. So I'm always trying to get down to less. I'm trying to basically make it into 4 sets, and I've got 6 reps to push. So I've got 6 reps to push into the 4 sets that I'm actually, the 4 sets that I'm actually doing, and that's me. I'm at 50 for 4. At which point I'll start loading it. I'll start putting some plates on my lap. Okay. Rack chins are a fucking phenomenal exercise because of positioning my arms, like in terms of I can get my humeral alignment where I need it to be to make it all about lats. I'm using angles 90 grips to make sure that there's no issues with my the elbow flexors with supination problems. So it keeps it nice and fluid in that respect. And it's a really, really good line of pull for your lats. And you can make it as easy or as hard as you want to. If you need to regress a little bit, you can put your feet on the ground. If you want to progress it, you can put your feet a little bit higher up. Or you can load it by putting plates on. So it's a phenomenal exercise, one that I think a lot of people miss out on. And I don't feel anything in my lats anywhere near like I do when I do rack chins. I mean, literally one set in, my lats are pumped and blown up. Like, boom, happy days. So that's followed up by heavy band rows for 15 reps, 3 sets of that. And then I do upper back rows. So I get my prime long bar out with prime handles and I elbows out, getting all that good sort of teres minor, teres major, all the rhomboids, scapular retractors, and the mid traps, and a little bit of upper traps, a little bit. And that's effectively the 3 sets of that. That's effectively my pull workout pretty much done. I know there's a few gaps there that I need to fill, but I'm just working back up from having obviously had the shitty COVID in January and the lung issues that have gone with it. And it's going really well, so I'm happy with that. But after I've done that, we do a long duration hang. So it's a dead hang from the chin up bar. Wide grip, not for any real reason. It's just harder. And for me, the whole point of it is just pain tolerance. So it's almost like mental conditioning, like psychological conditioning, like how you know, silencing that voice in your head that says let go, silencing that voice in your head that tells you that you beat all your numbers this week, you don't need to do this. Like, yes I do, and I need to get more. So you know, I try and push internal pain out to try and prevent external pain in. So I'm just, you know, what's on the inside. You probably saw that note in my logbook. You know, what's on the inside is worse than what's on the outside. So you know, if I can hold on to that and bury that down deep and channel it and use it, then it lets me get a couple more seconds out each time. But it is, I mean, I'm up to 85 seconds at 205 pounds body weight. And my hand.
So just a body weight set? Are you adding load?
Just a body weight set, just hanging from the chin and bar for 85 seconds. And I'm trying to push that. I want to get to 2 minutes. But at the end, like on the other day when we did it on Tuesday, I literally got to the point where my left hand's rock solid. It's gripping, like, you know, it's not letting go. It's just, it's there. It's good. And my right hand is giving up, and I'm slow. I can feel the bar sliding in my hand, and my fingers slowly uncurling. And I'm doing everything I can to squeeze as hard as possible. I'm just like refusing to lose, refusing to take a step backwards. I'm just sucking up the pain, and it is a lot of pain. But when you drop off, like your hands are kind of locked in that position, like claws. You can't open them. It's fucking awful. And like I said, there's very little reason for me doing it. I mean, it's a little bit of obviously grip strengthening. It gets me into a decent stretch for my lats. Not a great stretch, but a decent stretch. And while I'm doing it, I do a little bit of reverse shrugging to get my lower traps working as well. But really, it's just a mental game. It's just in my head. It's just pushing as much as I can to go past that point where your body's telling you stop, get off this, you don't need this. And you know, because I know that it's not necessarily, it's not required for my program that I'm following. It's not required for development purposes for me. It's not required for anything outside of just tolerance to pain. It makes it even harder because you're like, well, I don't need to fucking do this. And in your head, there's a little voice going, you don't need to do this. Like, you should just replace this with something that's actually valuable and doesn't hurt as much. Like, and I went, no, you do need this. You do need this because we're all too fucking soft these days. We're all a bunch of fucking pansies, and I don't like it. So I refuse to be a fucking pansy. I refuse to let the world tell me that, you know, I should live in a nice pampered, soft, cushioned, comfortable life. Find some uncomfortable positions, find some pain, and just embrace it, suck it up, you know, get right into it. So I'm ranting a bit now, but that's the reason why I'm doing it. So
I'm with you on that though. Like I'm new gym environment, and I'm doing a bit of, like, you can call it sort of like the backloaded structural balance craze, but it's my take on it. Which, like, the first block of that is adding a lot of loaded stretching at the start of the workouts, because I know I won't do it the rest of the time because it sucks. And there's a lot of length and range stuff, like holding a deep dumbbell fly, weighted dead hangs for time, a lot of sissy squats, things like this. And it's the stuff that I know I don't like. It's contralateral split squats, like Bulgarians. I'm like, I'm going to do these now in a new environment, get myself strong in these positions, which I don't like and suck. So I go back to a more traditional bodybuilding workout. I'll be strong at the end ranges. I'll be hopefully mentally tougher back in the gym again. And yeah, I'm completely with you on that. And I think it's a good thing to do, is some stuff like that you know is going to suck, but you do it for that exact reason.
Just fucking hate it. I don't like it. I detest it. And I know the whole way through the workout, like, I know it's coming and I'm like, fuck, I want to do this. But it's one in my head, there's another voice that's standing there going, you pussy, come on. You don't be a fucking loser. Get up there, put your hands on there, grip that, squeeze that fucking bar, try and crush it, try and break it, try and rip it off. Come on, be that kind of animal. And that voice is louder than the one saying let go. So, but eventually the noise in your head gets too much. You can't drown it out, and you're just hanging there, just thinking about the pain and trying to embrace it. And that's the key for me, I think, is it's the acceptance that it's going to hurt. This is going to hurt, and it's going to hurt for a long time because you're an idiot and you've actually worked yourself up to 85 seconds now. So that means that next time you do this, you've got to try and get to 86 seconds. And it starts hurting at around about 20 seconds. So it sucks. But
that'll have a good carryover though of it, like in so many ways though. Like if you use a dead hand example, if you're more comfortable and stronger in a length and range, and if you're looking at a nerve perspective, you're going to get more at your lat training. But there'll be a point all your training where JP's logbook and JP's angry demeanor will get him so far. But then when it gets that extra gear up, it's the stuff now that you're doing that where this isn't that hard.
Yeah.
Fuck it, I'm good at this. I can hang there. I can hang an extra 3-4 reps on a hack squat or on whatever exercise you're doing for legs in your gym.
Look, just would take one thing as an example. I mean, I had a horrific sort of 14 months from November of 2019. Absolutely horrific, right? But if I take one of the things that happened and just use that as an example, I sat and watched my dad slowly die over 5 days on my own in a hospital room, right? Hanging from a fucking bar, it's not painful. Painful. There's nothing. There's no. That's not painful. You know, watching your dad wake up from having been unconscious, want to go home and you can tell he's scared. Like, that's fucking painful. And there's not a lot on this planet that's gonna ever hurt me as much as that does, right? So hanging from a bar, I'll get 86 seconds minimum next time I do it. Simple as that. There's no choice. It's gonna happen because anytime that I start to give myself an excuse on it, it's like it's not as painful as that. Nothing is. Nothing will be. Let's go. Let's go. Let's just go. Keep going. Right? I can hear my dad's voice in my head telling me to go. All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to it. That's it. You said go. I'll go. You go. That's it. Simple. Deep.
And it's amazing what you can do. I know that obviously that's obviously like a extreme example that not everyone's going to have something necessarily that painful in their life. But I was actually listening to a podcast with Jordan Belfort, one of your favorite people, JP, just before this. Huh?
I fucking love Jordan Belfort.
That's what I said. One of your favorite people. And he was talking about, like, you'd be amazed of, like, one of the things he wants to be known for is just showing up, and like how many people don't even see anywhere close to their potential because they give up when things get hard and they don't show up when they're tired. And like obviously that's an extreme motivation that gets you through to that 86 seconds and even does the set in the first place.
Look, but like,
most people don't turn up.
No, I wrote a blog post way back before I was working with you, and I don't know if it's published on my website or if I've got it, because I published it on a previous blog and then took it down. So I've got it still, and I might post it again. But it was basically about leaning in, right, when things get fucking tough. And up until that point in time, I had a bit of a I say rough upbringing, but I grew up in a pretty shitty part of Glasgow. Had my own sort of challenges that I'd faced and overcome, and I travelled all over the world. And you kind of have that mindset of, if something comes along, I'll just fucking handle it, right? But you don't know until something does come along. So the fact that I did have to go up and sit there and watch that and that was an experience for me that was kind of it verified to me that you know, when shit gets fucking hard, when things go wrong, when there's nothing you can do, and it's definitely going to be game over for somebody that you love and you care about, you can be there, you can be that guy. And so now, you know, once you've done it, you can't undo it, you can't not be that guy. And that means that when anything else goes wrong, all right, stand up, take the load, here we go. So, but everybody, you know, everybody has the opportunity to do that whenever they want to. You don't have to have, you know, any kind of tragedy in your life. You can just accept that some things are going to suck and go and get them anyway. Go and get it after it anyway. I don't need to.
I think.
Like, I don't need to do it. It's not going to make me a better bodybuilder. It's not going to make me look better when I take my clothes off. It's not really helping my mobility that much at all. Over and above what I actually do specifically for that, it's making me a more resilient human being to that kind of pain. That's all.
Yeah, I think it's important when you talk about leaning into like the discomfort. So it's a great way of explaining it, because I put a post up, like, well, it's a story on Instagram today about having a day where I was getting a lot of imposter syndrome, like one of those days where everything makes you doubt yourself. And I think that would have crippled me 3-4 years ago. But you know, it's one of those things now where I've learned a little bit to reframe it, because I am where I am a little bit because of those days where I've pushed through, and like everything you do in life that's worth it is going to be somewhat uncomfortable. And your mentor, Rob, said, I was listening on a podcast the other day, was talking about imposter syndrome is just discomfort. And like getting, sometimes when you look at those things, whether it's at the end of a set or whether it's, you know, something in your business or something in your personal life, often discomfort comes when you're about to embark on something that's going to push you really, really forward. And when you start to think of it like that, it's like, okay, I'm glad I'm here. Let's lean into this. As opposed to, oh, this is tough, let's sit back out of this.
Look, they don't have the term growing pains doesn't exist because growing's easy and doesn't come with challenges, right? You gotta suck it up. You gotta deal with it. Like you want to get lean. Like I had a chat with one of Robb's clients on Instagram, right? It was actually asking about the podcast when episodes were coming out, so because I've been procrastinating about posting, right? And I posted up a shot, like a throwback picture when I was very lean. And he came back saying that it was goals. And I was like, nah, you want to see this one? And then I posted up another one where I was doing a vacuum and I looked like I've got no organs. And he was like, I don't think I'll ever get there, blah, blah, blah. I made a bunch of excuses. And I was like, straight off the bat, like I sent this screenshot to Robb, right? Straight off the bat, I'm like, nah, I'm not having that. It's fucking bollocks. You're giving yourself an out. You're giving yourself a way out right now. Like, attack. Don't say, oh, I'm not going to get there because of X, Y, and Z. Like, if you don't get there, you don't get there. But fucking have a go. You know, because what's the worst that can happen? The worst that can happen is you end up in much better shape than you actually intended to get in because you try to go further than you had in you.
It's important to know that comes in like many forms. Like in a way, the way that Robb's client went about that, being quite vulnerable, like won't ever get there, admitting that he's lacked confidence, is a more like, I don't want to say like mature, but sort of a more open way of doing this, because you can address that quite quickly if someone lacks confidence. But that could come in the form of humor. I've seen it with clients before where they'll make a joke of everything, like they'll joke that, oh, you're starving me to death, and it's like that's them putting roadblocks in their way without being confident enough to admit, I'm struggling, I don't believe I can do this. And it's like, how do you guys deal with, like, what do you see in terms of like sticking blocks with your guys, and how do you overcome some of those things?
You mentioned the humor part, right? There's a lot of people that do the self-deprecating humor part, but there's also people that just simply laugh at themselves. So I took on a new client recently, and she doesn't really believe she's going to get in shape. Right? I know that she doesn't believe it, but I believe it, and that's all I need, right? It's as simple as that. I'm gonna drag you there because you need to get there to believe, and I want you to believe, so I'm gonna get you there. So she's come on board and she's training and she's lifting weights. She's slowly but surely getting into it. First week to a week and a half, she's basically laughing when she gets to the difficult part of the set. She starts to like break into hysterical laughter, and then she's looking for an out, right? She's looking for me to tell her to stop. And I actually stopped her and I said, look, you know this thing you're doing, this where you're laughing and you're using humor as a defense mechanism? You don't need to do that in here. Nobody's judging you in here. But what you need to appreciate is that when you do that, looking for an out, I'm not going to give you an out. Like, because I know there's more in there. I know that you're stronger than you think you are. I know that there are reps in that tank that you owe me, right? It's like, and I say this to a lot of clients as well. You know that scene in Inglourious Bastards where Brad Pitt talks about, you know, you all owe me 100 scalps and I want my scalps, right? It's like that. You owe me a certain number of reps and I want my reps. Like, I want those and I'm going to get them from you in good quality, because if you give me shitty quality, you're just going to do extra. So it's given them the understanding that, yeah, I get that you're struggling, I get that this is tough, and that you're trying to find a way of dealing with it psychologically so it doesn't make you feel like you're shit. But you need to appreciate that, you know, failing in the gym and failing correctly is a positive move. It's a positive step forward, because then you can understand where you break down, what you need to work on, and also you've got something to work towards. So it allows,
I think that
progression.
Yeah, and I think so. Like I can't remember who I heard that term successful failure from first, but I love that. It's like it's teaching clients to be patient, not panic, not throw reps when they're getting tired to get from A to B. It's like you've put attention on muscle and like hold it for dear life. You can't get the full range. Either I come and spot you, or you just stay there and get like live in that discomfort for a while. You'll get more out of it, and it'll teach you way more than just how many reps you can do.
I had this conversation with Victoria doing a pull session a couple of weeks back, where I sort of explained to her that when you think you're done, right, and you get to that last rep and you let go, you put it down, like, you've still got more in you. And if you try and get that rep that you don't think you're going to get, and when you hit that sticking point, you try and push through it, and you just, even if you're not moving, even if it's just stalled and it's not going anywhere for a couple of seconds, at least a couple of seconds, you get more out of that than you will do putting that down. Way more out of it, because that's the bit that counts, right? It's the bit where you try and reach past where you're capable of. That's what tells your body, oh, we need to get a little bit stronger. We need to put on a little bit of muscle tissue. And so she's been doing that the last couple of weeks, and you know, all of a sudden her rep count's starting to grow on the rack chins that she's doing, and she's just pushing through and she's chasing it. So I think there's a lot of people that train too far within themselves, too far within their comfort zone. You know, they get to that point where, like, I'm not getting another rep, so I'm not going to do it. And sometimes that's a smart thing to do. Sometimes it's smart to know, you know, reps in reserve and RPE and all that bollocks. But I think most of the time, most people, they're never anywhere close to needing to worry about reps in reserve or RPE. They should just be getting after it. You know?
Exactly. I think, like, you know, it's become, you know, everyone becomes you know, Israel fanboys these days. I'm a huge fan of Mike Israel, but understand that he deals with more advanced people. People who walk into the gym on day one haven't got a fucking clue what one rep in reserve is. And a lot of times asking these questions on an RP scale, you know, how many reps have you got left? Or, you know, is that a 1 or, you know, 10 out of 10? It's like, they don't know. They will call a 6 out of 10, a 9 out of 10.
Dude, I'll be honest with you.
And as a coach, you've got to learn how to see it.
I'll be honest with you. I've been lifting weights for a long time, right? I mean, I probably would consider myself quite advanced in this respect. And, you know, there's very little that I do that's not really familiar to me. And I've been training, like, you know, for a long time doing these sort of movements. And I don't know if I've got one in the tank or not until I've tried. It's that simple, right? Or, you know, I'm going to leave one rep in reserve. I don't fucking know if it's left. I don't know if there's 1 or 2. I might get 2. So do you know what I'm going to do? Instead of leaving one in reserve and hoping, I'm going to just try and get it. Because what's the worst that can happen? I fail a rep. Like, I train in a safe way. I don't get on a bench and lift a bar without any kind of spot or safety. You know, I have safety bars set up for my bench pressing. I don't do things that are unsafe. I wouldn't leave myself in an exposed position. So I know that if I don't get that rep, it's only going to end up on the pins, and I'm going to be able to get out from underneath it quite safely. So why wouldn't I go? Or there might be 2 left in the tank, so let's see.
And that goes back to that point of successful failure, right? If you're going to a point where you're holding it, you're keeping tension, you're holding a bit of an isometric, slowing an eccentric or 2 when you can't do more of a concentric, you're not getting to a point really where you're going to hurt yourself. Maybe a bench press being an exception if you haven't got the pins out, but like in most things, it's like people trying to get out of that and looking for an out are more likely to hurt themselves, because when things get tough, they'll throw it.
Yeah, and they'll default to bad positions, and they'll allow their body to try and compensate. It's the same thing, right? It's that successful failure. It's failing the right way, failing without letting your form break down, failing without trying to compensate and squeeze an extra rep out that you just don't have. Like get stuck halfway up on a bench press with your elbows in the right position, and everything's set up nicely, and be stuck there for a couple of seconds before it comes back down and touches the pins. That's better than getting that rep by driving your one elbow up high, the other elbow stays in tight, your right arse cheek comes off the bench, and your spleen touches your eyeball. That's who cares if you got that rep? That rep didn't count. It was shit. But
that's not
didn't get because you had everything locked in the right way and you failed the right way. That rep makes a big difference.
Yeah. And like we can talk, I spend a lot of time in working coach talking about breakdowns and things we can do in cues. And yes, there's a lot you can do, but it's like the longer you're in this game, the more you, and JP, I'm sure you'll vouch for this, the more how many things are up here is the reason why people get out of positions.
Pretty much all.
If you set them up right, it's this, and they'll throw it.
Yeah, it's getting to that point where they just don't think they can do it. They don't believe in themselves. They don't believe, and it doesn't matter. Like what people don't get is that getting the reps, getting 12 reps, getting 10 reps, getting whatever the rep count that you're aiming for, it doesn't matter. What matters is that the reps are putting the tension in the right place, and that when it gets to that point where your muscles just won't take you there anymore, that you don't just give up. You lean in, and yeah, you don't get that rep. You don't get that rep. Oh well. That's that them's the breaks. That's how life works. You don't get a fucking easy ride. You have to work hard for it. And anything that's good, relationships, business, education, you have to work to get results from those. You have to work to make those things fucking acceptable to you. Do the work.
And I'm sure, as everyone else is here, I've been on both sides of that. I got a third at uni because I was half in. I was more time pieing and less time studying, and I've had success in a lot of things in my career and in my training to a degree. It's like the stuff where I've gone all in and got 3/4 of the way and then failed because I just didn't have it in me feels so much better than the things I've flopped because I just didn't put my work in. Exactly. That mentality of if I don't try, I don't fail. If you don't try, you'll always fail.
Exactly. So now that we've had a bit of a serious talk, all off the back of me hanging from a bar, which is not a very serious thing. Let's talk about some other stuff. Let's talk about some lifestyle shit. Some interesting lifestyle shit. Rob. So you know where this is going, right?
Yeah. I have a feeling.
So, Mr. McGee, you posted up about morning fasting, meditation. I'm cool. That's fucking brilliant. Do a bit of that. That's great. Clear your head, get into a good mindset, create some headspace. The morning fasting, I kind of do that myself anyway. I don't like to eat much before 10 a.m., probably more like 11 a.m. And I do try and encourage my clients to do the same thing simply because it pushes their meals back for the day and means that they're less hungry later on in the day. And then you talk about semen retention.
Wow, this is not where I expected this to go. Let me get comfortable.
I just want to take a second. I'm going to say that again. Semen retention. 6 months of semen retention, did you say, or was it 4 months? Doesn't fucking
Yeah,
matter. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, does it?
The fact that you're talking about months, not hours, right? It's fucking atrocious. Right. One, you got to talk me through the benefits to this, right? Which I'm going to obviously ignore because I have a functioning sex life. And two, you need to talk me through what the actual fuck of this.
Sure. I'll do my best. There's 3 layers to this. The first layer, she knows. The first layer.
There's layers. I'm sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but the fact there's layers to something like semen retention is one of the funniest things I've heard for a long time.
It's Robb's penis onion.
It's not black or white. Well, if it's been 6 months, it might be black. But 3 layers to it. Layer number 1 is it was taking the piss out of. I don't know how often you see these guys because they're not on Instagram. They're more Twitter. It's the Twitter fitness industry, where it is young guys, early 20s, testosterone's through the roof anyway, and they think that all these things that they do together is what's creating this amazing physique and energy for them. And that includes like 72-hour water fasts, a team No Fap and all this stuff. And they've all got, their niche is all busy professionals, even though they don't really seem to train anyone. So A, it was half taking the piss out of them. B, it was also kind of, well, it has actually been a while. Like, am I technically doing this by default? You know, and how do I feel about that?
I just want to clarify something. Anybody that watches this that's actually working with me as a client, I'll never ask you to stop masturbating. It'll never even.
Any clients of mine that are listening to this, I'm gonna, if Rob gives me a good argument, I'm gonna immediately tell you all to do this from tomorrow for all the rest of your life.
I would never tell someone to not masturbate because I don't really have any reason not to tell them to do so. I would tell young men especially to stop jerking off and wasting their money on porn, but that's for different reasons.
Hang on, waste money on porn.
Wasting money on it?
Oh, but come on! How do you think these OnlyFans girls are getting so rich? Because guys are paying.
See that I think is mental. Like, I think that's insane that people pay for OnlyFans.
People are paying.
People are paying for OnlyFans. Like, seriously? Do you know what happens with those things? Like guys come along and they're like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna screen record this and put it on Pornhub.
Yeah.
It's free.
Really?
It's free. I think.
Yeah, but JP, we're all old enough, like where the way you found porn was just finding a magazine in the woods, right?
Yeah.
You know, like so we know not to pay for it. We know how hard it is to work for it. So then we're just happy with the free stuff. But these boys that they've had everything. They just find a million boobs on the internet. In the words of the film Ted 2, you're only 2 clicks away from black cock ever.
Right.
So like
Simon said it. Simon said it. It wasn't me. Which is, I'll be honest, a bit of a surprise. But no, I mean, back in my day, you had to forage for this shit. Like, it was
these boys are spoiled. It's the millennial version of porn, OnlyFans.
Bullshit. That's what it is.
So layer 2.
I genuinely agree that young men should just not bother watching porn because it sets your expectations a little bit off kilter, and 2, I mean, you know, it's energy, it's sexual energy wasted.
Yes, 100%.
I wonder how many men think they have a premature ejaculation problem because they've watched 40-minute porn videos these days. And if it's not 40 minutes, then it's got to be terrible.
Yeah,
I'm good on that front.
Poor Victoria, how did you get to work?
It's been a bit of a problem.
Not to exclusively talk about the masturbation habits of the modern man, but another layer to it is moving away from instant gratification.
Yes.
Or using it as some sort of relaxation tool. Now, I hypothesized this the other day, that if we were to do an honest study of men, how many of them have done the old Wolf of Wall Street thing and jerked off multiple times at work? Now, what is the benefit of that? They're not Wall Street traders. They can't do that specialty thing. How many guys would have?
Keeps you
And if
moving.
you think about that, it's kind of sad, really.
Yeah.
Mm.
I'm a little bit like, Jesus, I bet, yeah, you never know. You go into the work cubicle, you don't know what mate he's done in there before you.
But,
But
I mean, that's kind of, yeah.
instant gratification and life priorities. Those are the two main things for me.
But let's be honest, right? Let's be honest. Think about your time searching for adult material, right? You don't hit anything good until you're on like page 13 or 14 of Pornhub.
Yeah.
Right? So now you're at least 30 minutes in.
Mm.
That's before you even get into it.
Mm.
Right? So you're at least 30 minutes in. So in Simon's case, we're talking about 32 minutes in total of, but that's 30 odd minutes that you could have spent doing something else, like prepping yourself a decent meal. Like, how many people just go, oh, I've got no time left to do anything because I've spent the last 3 hours getting to page 72 of Pornhub before I find out.
You're convincing yourself this is a good idea, aren't you, JP?
Nah, you see, it's not. It's not. I think that there are merits to what Robb's doing. I don't think it's necessarily a good idea. I mean, how do you feel, Robb?
You know what? And now this is anecdotal because I can't say it's because of this.
Yeah.
I can't say it's because of this. But at the moment, I feel my clarity is fucking through the roof. However, that could be to do with multiple things. That could be because I really feel
your business and having your mission. That could be to do with your, the support groups that you've got going on with like Paul. It could be to do with the fact that you've got, me abusing you constantly.
Exactly. All these things.
All these things. And
values are aligned with purpose. Actions are aligned with values. Back in the gym, not drinking, not really watching TV, limiting social. All these things stack up on top of each other.
Yeah.
And I think if someone were to give up jerking off and what have you, but still not have any of those other things aligned, then what are you really going to gain from that?
Like maybe 2%.
Maybe 2%, or that 30 minutes a day.
Yeah.
Let's break it down to that. It's just that 30 minutes a day that you gain back.
Hang on, we're assuming this is a once a day habit.
Oh yeah. Oh, there you go. Even bigger.
I've got to be honest. As a single man, we're talking like 3 times at least.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's whilst being out chasing girls.
Yeah.
There you go.
And again, it's that.
But I think another thing you touched on is that it's more of a pastime than it is something that you're really kind of like, oh, I'm in the mood for a bit of. It's like, how do I pass? I've got 30 minutes to spare. What do I do with it? I'll do the same thing I've been doing since I discovered my penis.
We'll be doing this podcast. We'll be doing this podcast in like 6 months, and like Robb will just start fluently speaking in Spanish. He'll start be doing like big like card springs. He'd be like spinning things on his fingers and basketball. Like the amount of hobbies. If anyone's seen Mike Boyd on YouTube, he learns things quickly. This is what Robb's doing.
Given back to me, 90 minutes a day given back to me. I've learned German, Spanish. I can do tray flips on a skateboard. I can.
You know it.
If you want to teach me Cantonese, Robb, I could probably use it.
Learn to play the drums. That's a fucking tough one. Maintaining 4 different rhythms and 4 different limbs.
Just imagine, like, if you were, obviously people are not everyone is of this mindset, but if someone said to you, as you two guys are both growth-centric individuals and you don't seek out comfort purposely, if someone said to you, right, your day is no longer 24 hours, it's 25 and a half hours, you would be like, oh my fuck, what can I do with that 90 minutes? Whereas someone else might just go, that's an extra 90 minutes of jerking off or an extra 90 minutes of Netflix or whatever. What could you actually do with an extra 90 minutes per day? Pretty phenomenal when you think about it.
You can learn a lot in 90 minutes.
A lot in 90 minutes.
You can
have you since stopping this? Have you bought a shake weight and included that into your training routine?
Hang on, Simon. Have you stopped this, Robb?
Yeah.
Oh,
honestly. Honestly, yeah. So she's not a coach, but she's someone I've listened to for a while because I find her fascinating. Do you guys know Kim Anami? I think I'm pronouncing that right.
No.
A-N-A-M. She was famous over. I followed her for years before this. She was famous over Instagram because she lifts weight with her chuff, basically. Stick something up there, and there's like pineapples and coconuts, and like she was doing like 5 kilos or something like that. I was like, who the fuck is
She's
this?
coaching you.
She's not coaching me. But I listened to her podcast.
I've just looked this chick up on Instagram, right? And she's
Yeah.
she's got a private account. Kim Anami, holistic sex plus relationship expert, vaginal weightlifter. What?
That's it. Give it a follow. She's wild.
And then she's got surfer, and then Yasmic enlightenment. So she's sandwiched surfer in there, in between all of the sex shit, right? But
I think we found what Rob's doing with the extra 90 minutes of his day. He's hunting Instagram for the weird and wonderful.
He's sitting there for 90 minutes a day watching vaginal weightlifting.
Things only get good.
And Simon, he's watching that and not fapping.
The interesting is, JP, things only get good on Instagram when you're on page 15 of the search for friends.
Yeah.
I'm going to change my Instagram bio as we speak for something that you guys can see later. But anyway, she was saying that the idea of there's nothing necessarily wrong but no one died from masturbating too much, whatever, maybe, but if you want to treat it as a bit of self-love, there's a million ways to do that, and you could make a night of it. Like one night a week, if you fancy going to town, you set things up, and
once every full moon, lotion up.
So like there's no, but because it becomes this constant thing for people, but like we say, how much of your day probably is taken up by that? For what benefit?
I kind of agree with that in the sense that when it becomes this constant thing, we get almost desensitized to it, and then it reduces drives elsewhere. And I think that's a bad thing, right? So I'm with you on that. If you want to get into a relationship, then you should probably spend time working on your social skills rather than your masturbatory skills. If you want to have more sex, you should probably practice less self-sex. If you want to do anything, beneficial to maintaining a little bit of masculinity, probably just have a bit of self-control. That's not to say I think it's a good idea to stop doing it completely. I think it's just maybe limit it a little bit. Maybe not have it be something that you just fill space in your day with. Oh, I've got nothing else to do. I'll just
Rob, when you finish this, are you going to treat it like a big special occasion? You're going to throw yourself a candlelit dinner? You're going to take yourself on a date?
Can we have a party?
I mean, this is a weird podcast episode, isn't it? If we're throwing a party for this.
We're going to live stream it for everyone.
Rockstar Fitness Podcast After Dark.
It's going to be like
dark.
Like you guys
like Miami Vice nights.
And what for everyone listening, so you know, we'll be launching our private podcast OnlyFans account in about 3 weeks' time.
OnlyFans. Oh dear God. So
Rob, we'll be on page 15 of it.
You're seeing anecdotal benefits. That's cool. I like this.
Yeah.
I think that there's some stuff that I think is take away from it that has merit. I'm not sure, because I know that boxers used to refrain from sex before a boxing match, thinking it helped them be more aggressive and kept their levels higher. That's actually been proven to be incorrect. But that's sex. That's not knocking one out.
I mean, there's a lot of if you go down a rabbit hole of looking deeper why other people do this stuff, and they list a load of medical benefits that have zero claim behind them, zero proof behind them whatsoever. But it just sounds good, or they twisted the result of some study or something like that. There's no real medical benefit.
They're not twisting anything, Rob. That's
I
don't do the twist technique anyway. But but there's probably more medical benefits to fapping and spraying everywhere than there is not.
Prostate health for one,
Yeah.
But that doesn't require a 3-a-day habit.
Well, depends how unhealthy that prostate was.
We'll get Tom Whitehead on. He'll definitely have stories.
Tom will know.
Today, all right.
Tom, Jenny baby, tell you some stories. But
oh yeah. All right, cool. So we've covered that. That's good. I'm glad. I'm glad we've discussed. I'm glad. I am very, very excited about the fact that we've discussed Rob's masturbatory habits on the podcast.
Yeah. Wasn't expecting that today, but I'm an open book. Like, I have no secrets.
I mean, you've got to be getting used to this by now. You put something like that up and expect me to let go of it? No, Pitbull, tenacious. I'm gonna fucking.
Plus, I've got to be known on Instagram for Summit, you know. And this is a
This is gonna be the thing. This is gonna be the thing.
Whilst everyone else is trying to be James Smith, here's Rob over here talking about not masturbating.
No Fap.
Vaginal weightlifting and no fap.
Mate, could you get on this chick on an Instagram live with you?
Do you know what? I would love to. Like, I listen to her stuff a lot. She's fascinating. She's got her head screwed on a little bit.
I mean, I've got to be honest.
She's got a lot of other stuff screwed on as well.
I'd love to sit down and have a chat with her.
She sounds batshit crazy, but she might be the kind of batshit crazy that's just crazy enough to be genius.
Yes.
We have a fourth space here on my screen that we could definitely fill with somebody that fun on the podcast.
Rob wants to get her on and we can talk about this shit. Like, you contact us if he wants to do it, and we'll fucking.
Could you imagine everyone else's first guest is like, you know, like Luke Lehman and Jordan Shallow and all these people in the fitness industry that are amazing, but this is out of left field in the best way possible. This is a pattern break.
I just want to throw it out there, right? This podcast will not be the typical fitness industry circle jerk, right? Clearly, there's clearly from one angle of this triangle, there's no jerking, but this will not be that kind of fucking dry lunch circle jerk. We'll get people on that, like, you know, if we got Luke Lehman on this, it would be because Luke Lehman's a funny motherfucker, right? And also clued up, fucking sharp dude. I like Luke's stuff. I like the way he approaches things. I like his attitude towards training, his attitude towards nutrition. I like the fact that he's got interests outside of the gym, you know. And we've talked about BMX, you know, we've talked about fucking World of Warcraft, we've talked about all sorts of shit. I love Luke, but one of the reasons I would get him on is, well, the reason I would get him on is because he's a funny bastard. He's fucking hilarious. And that's why I would get him on. Like, I'm not interested in getting anybody a dry lunch.
One of the best podcasts I ever heard of Luke was actually the second one he did with Nick. But the title was like just dumb shit we've done in the training, and it wasn't about anything educational at all. It was like, what do you do that was stupid but funny? And I was like, that's the sort of stuff like that's a story. There's like a story or two from people who've gotten to the game. There's like a few entertaining, valuable mistakes.
I'd like to get Luke Lehman's take on Robb's No Fap. I think that'd be fucking brilliant.
Yes, 100.
We go around industry leaders. And find out their position on the fat.
We'll just go around a whole bunch of them, right? We'll get all even you know what's even funnier is, rather than getting somebody like Luke on to talk about Robb's No Fap, we'll get the dry lunch trainers on that are kind of a bit dry and a bit kind of only do gym. There's no real. We'll get them on and we'll be like, right, so what we're going to talk about today is Robb hasn't knocked one out in 5 months. Go.
Discuss. And then we just all go quiet and wait.
Yeah. See what happens.
Any serious industry types that don't really do left like out there kind of having a bit of a laugh humor that want to come on and talk about Robb's masturbatory habits, just reach out to me. You
know how podcasts have like 2 or 3 key questions at the end, like what would you tell your 20-year-old self and extra? We just have, what do you think of Robb's No Fap #1?
I'm going to throw this out there in the comments, guys. If you're watching this, I know that nobody is right now because we've only been doing this for a few weeks. But if you watch this and you have some comments to make about Robb's masturbatory habits, please drop them in, and we will answer. We will get back to you, right?
We will name drop the best comments.
Yeah, we'll talk about it, right? We'll you know, anybody that comes on with a decent enough take on it, like, fuck it, we'll get you on. You can if you want to come on and abuse Robb, like, just let us know.
Fine. It's nothing different to what my mum would have done.
Yeah.
But
can we get Robb?
Let's get your mum on.
We just shout, see if she's in.
I'm on to talk about him not jerking off.
I like that though. Like the people in the industry that I follow the most, that appeal to me the most, are ones that know their stuff and can explain it well to people, and they get the results, but they have something else to them. And I'm not saying it has to be necessarily a funny thing,
Yeah.
or a no fapping thing, but I can't stand that if you go on fitness podcast, it's 50 million episodes on how to get into a calorie deficit.
Oh
People
no,
know.
50 million episodes on accountability, or on on fucking bullshit like mindset, or and I'm not pointing fingers here at anybody. I know there's a few people out there that talk about breathing a lot, but fucking breathing, right? Good luck getting somebody that's been on the planet for 41 years to breathe differently to the way they actually breathe than I have for 41 years.
Well, if that's the thing, I think there's a lot of merit to this sort of stuff, and I think there's times where getting control of your breathing can be particularly good. But I do think as well for like, if people have been 40, 50 years, he said, it's like pissing in the ocean trying to make it yellow. There's going to be thousands more bad reps than good reps, no matter what you do.
I have fractured my nose 3 times. Once I actually fractured right down into my eye socket, and I can't fucking breathe through my nose. So it doesn't matter how much you tell me that breathing through your nose is beneficial. I can't do that. And I have had other people talking about breathing through your nose, getting diaphragm working, allowing you to abdominally breathe better, and that gives you a better ability to brace. Like, I've been involved in like martial arts, like boxing and Thai boxing, for a long fucking time, since I was a teenager, right? I can brace my abdominals better than most human beings can, and I don't fucking breathe through this. So, all right, maybe I could get 1% more if I was able to breathe through my nose, but I can't. So,
but it's one strategy. It's one strategy, right? Breathing through your nose. The reason why that engages your diaphragm more is because there's resistance, because there's hair and bogies and shit, right? Like, you can find other ways of creating a resistance training way to your breathing pattern that doesn't involve this. It's just one way is easy for most people to make a change.
I mean, there's all sorts of breathing trainers. There's all sorts of things you can do. I mean, look, I can't go through a tunnel without holding my breath, right? So, just to test what sort of lung capacity I've got, how much tolerance for not breathing I've got, and I can't go through a tunnel without doing it, right? So we go through the Blackwall Tunnel on a regular basis. I've got to try and get all the way through the Blackwall Tunnel. We go through the Dartford Tunnel when we're going to pick up my son. I've got to go through there the whole thing without breathing, right? I can't. It's like a compulsion. I've been doing it since I was a kid. We used to go through the Clyde Tunnel in Glasgow. I don't remember who it was told me to do it, but one of my parents or one of my uncles told me to hold my breath through the tunnel, and I've been doing it ever since, right? You can breathe through. You can get like skin divers breathe through bigger and bigger diameter tubes to make it harder for them. You can get these resistance trainers for your breathing. There's loads of ways of doing things, but if you're just doing it for like stress relief benefits, then 10 minutes of mindful breathing doesn't have to be perfect, right? It just has to be thought through. It'll make a big
it's amazing how quickly you can make some sort of change to your CO2 tolerance. I did the Wim Hof event here, which I thought was really like interesting. Like it was more the practical side of it than the science side of it, which was like quite basic, but I purposely go out and study this stuff, so it probably wasn't for some of the other people. But doing some of these Wim Hof breathing drills, I mean, I'm holding my breath for what, 50, 60 seconds, and people at the end were like holding their breath for 7 minutes. And then when you get to the ice bucket at the end, you're thinking this is gonna suck. And it wasn't pleasant, but it was way better than you think because you prepped yourself for it. And it was incredible.
So I watched a documentary on skin divers, right? And it's during this documentary that the average human can't hold their breath for longer than about I think it was something like 30 seconds. And I was like, I'm not having that. Now I have intermittent extreme, like very, very, very serious asthma. Like so much so that it's put me in hospital a few times. And so when I was a kid, I had to do a whole bunch of stuff, like a whole bunch of abdominal breathing exercises, and get really good at that, right? I also swam competitively as a child, and that increases your lung capacity and your actual volume, your lung volume. But having serious or severe asthma increases your lung volume because your lungs end up hyperinflated when you're having an asthma attack. So one of the things that makes it so painful and so nasty is that your lungs are already hyperinflated and inflamed, and you're trying to get more air into them, and it's just awful. So people that have conditions like asthma tend to have quite a high lung volume. So I watched this thing and they're talking about 30 seconds being difficult for most human beings. And I'm like, nah, I'm not having it. Same as, no, I refuse to accept other people's limitations on me. So I sat for half an hour trying to go further and further into this. And I ended up holding my breath for 4 minutes, right? Watching this skin diving documentary. And I was like, 4 minutes, I'll take that, that'll do, right? The skin divers do it for like over 8 minutes, right? And anything over 8 minutes, you're actually starting to cause brain damage. So if that's possible, if human beings can do that, we can. If some of these guys are underwater for 11 minutes, if you can not breathe for 11 minutes, in my opinion, you're a fucking superhero. And if you can do it, then there's no reason why I couldn't do it. It's just putting in the time and effort on not masturbating, so that you've got that extra 90 minutes a day to practice breathing, right? I'm going to link back to this so much. Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's great.
I'm going to see.
But that also links back.
Go on.
I think we've lost.
No, I was just saying the. Oh no! Now mine's unstable.
You're here.
We're back.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, no, it links back to what we was talking about at the start as well.
Pain.
Like that comfort zone. Like, as soon as that little bit of pain comes in, this rep's hurting. Rep 6 of what's meant to be 12 is starting to hurt.
I think.
No one died from hold breath.
No. Because what's the worst that can
People
happen?
die from being suffocated, of course, but no one died from holding their breath. Yeah, what's the worst that can happen?
Lead singer of In Excess. Masturbatory accidents happen, Rob.
See, 90% of the reason.
Yeah, so there's like that's one thing that's good about it. You don't end up killing yourself on an asphyxia wank. No, I think it's easier to hold your breath underwater because you can't breathe. If you do, you drown, right? Whereas doing it sitting there going through a tunnel is fucking painful because, but I think it's the same thing that we were talking about with the hangs, right? It's just accepting that this is going to suck. It's going to be nasty. It's going to be painful. Nobody's going to die. Let's just challenge yourself. Let's find where the envelope is and try and go past it.
Yeah.
So I think to tie that into the breathing stuff necessarily as well, is that are we going to see if you carry on this No Fap for another year or two? You know how they're doing all these studies on Wim Hof and seeing if his breathing stuff is affecting, like, fighting off illnesses. Are you going to be the guy that realizes that, not masturbating means you can sort of cure any illness that hits you? You don't get COVID because you didn't masturbate.
You watch it. That might be why I didn't get it. You never know. And I'll be able to climb Everest, not just in my shorts, but completely naked.
Like, from the sounds of it, you're pretty much immune to STIs because there's nothing going on. So, right.
Yeah, exactly. I think in this world we're living in now, if you told people that you had to stop masturbating to not get COVID and not spread it around, I think a lot of people would do it.
I think it's going to become the new. If you go back like 10, 15 years, if you told people you didn't drink, you were like people looked at you like you had just landed off of a spacecraft or whatever. You were considered weird for not drinking. Now it's a lot more.
I turned 20.
More socially acceptable. You tell people now that you don't get got same reaction.
I turned 23 and I turned around and said, actually, I'm gonna take a little bit of a break from drinking. I'm not gonna drink for a few months. And somebody said to me, you'll never make it to 6 months. And I was like, all right. So I didn't drink for 18 months, like anything at all. I just went out and had soft drinks when I was out and nights out. And I still fucking went out and, like, in my opinion, partied during that time. I had a fucking laugh, but just to prove a point. And then it became this thing where it was like I hit 6 months, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna keep going with this just to prove a point. You know? And then when I decide I'll call it a day, I'll call it a day. You know? But yeah, the amount of people that were like, is there something wrong with you? Yeah, up here. I'm an idiot. Like, I'm just doing things because I like things that are really challenging to me. And the fact that you put yourself in social situations where people, they're using alcohol as social lubricant, and you want everybody else to drink, and it enables everybody, you know, to do that for lengthy periods of time, whilst doing ski seasons abroad, right? Living in ski resorts for 6 months of the year. Where, you know, what do you do when you come down the hill at the end of the day? You go to the bar, you know, you party, you get some beers, and you sit around with your friends. Like, not doing that for like, what actually equated to 2 winter seasons was kind of like, all right, no. I didn't party at all when I was living in Canada. Didn't drink anything until literally a couple of months before I left the country. I was there for 18 months. You know? So, but yeah, everybody thought I was a fucking weirdo. And I am, which is why I like the idea of getting really, really knowledgeable industry types on that are also weirdos. Anyway.
We found our first.
I think we found
With vaginal strength.
Vaginal weightlifting. Vaginal no fat weightlifting. All right.
Sort us out. Rob, arrange this.
What?
Rob, arrange this.
I'll jump in the DMs. I'll find a what's name, an agent, whatever.
You're telling me you haven't already jumped in the DMs? I don't believe it.
I just want to get your mum on. I think that'd be fucking brilliant. Let's get Rob's mum on. On that note, like, can we have a conversation about Rob's mum and vaginal weightlifting at the same time? Like, I think, like, can we even do that? It's happened. It's happened now. On that note, I think we'll call this one.
I mean, it might be too up in the intersection, but we'll do it.
All right. Laters, yo.